making these mistakes, there must be other people in the world out there who are making these mistakes or struggling with something similar. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about blogging. And specifically, I'm going to be sharing my own blogging journey and giving you 5 mistakes that I made when I first started blogging, because I figured if I was making these mistakes, there must be other people in the world out there who are making these mistakes or struggling with something similar. And so if you're watching this and you're new to blogging, or maybe you're just thinking about starting a blog, you definitely want to watch this, because these are 5 mistakes that I've personally made that you do not want to make. So before we get into the mistakes, I actually would like to announce or introduce you to my blog. So for the past couple of months, I've been working on my blog. I've actually been rebranding my entire blog. So for those of you who know me in my personal life or have been following me for some time now, you'll remember that I have a blog called azarialifestyle.com. And so in this video, I'm going to give you a little bit of a history about this blog and my blogging history and just kind of everything that has happened to lead me to this point that I'm at today. So I'll try to start from the very beginning. So I think I first started blogging when I was in university. I think I started that in 2011. So it's been a good 9 years since I've been thinking about blogging. And I'm pretty sure no one actually even knew that I had this blog. I'm not sure if I even told any of my friends or family that I had this blog. Essentially, I knew that I wanted to start blogging, but I was really, really shy. And I just felt very uncomfortable about putting myself out there. And so I started this blog, and I think I made a few sporadic posts here and there, and then I decided to just stop. I'm not even sure if the blog is still up online. It might be, but I really didn't do anything with blogging or with YouTube for a couple of years after that. And so fast forward a couple of years, I think it was in May 2015, I finally got the courage to actually go out and start blogging again. And backtrack a little bit, in 2012 I started a business called Azaria Designs, and it was an earring making business. And so me and 2 of my friends actually came together and came up with this idea to actually make Ankara designed earrings. I'll try to find pictures of it and insert it in this video, but that was in 2012 that we started Azaria Designs. Azaria is a Hebrew name that means God helps. And that was just something that I thought was so powerful. I believe that whatever I do and whatever venture I go on, God really has to be at the center of it. And so that name really stood out to me, because it meant that whatever we were doing with that business, we were recognizing and submitting to the fact that it was God who helps us. And so that's really the background of that name, Azaria. When I started my blog, I decided to call it Azaria Lifestyle. And Azaria Lifestyle basically is a lifestyle in which God is the center of it, right? God helps. I started Azaria Lifestyle in 2015. Azaria Lifestyle was a lifestyle blog for the purpose-driven women. And so Azaria Lifestyle, I really started it as an online journal where I shared my thoughts on mostly faith-based topics. And so I would talk about things like how to deal with things when God says no, how to find peace in difficult situations, and just that type of post where I would share a little bit of my story and then give encouragement to my readers. And so it was actually a really therapeutic process for me doing Azaria Lifestyle, because I was getting to write and talk about things that I knew would edify people. Now the problem with Azaria Lifestyle was the fact that I was creating all these posts, but I wasn't doing anything with it. I wasn't sharing it. I actually was not sharing any of the posts. Doesn't make sense. Like, I was writing and doing something that I loved, but I wasn't actually sharing it with anyone. And so I think it was in 2017 when I decided that I was going to take blogging more seriously. And so I decided to come back to blogging with my sister. And so my sister and I came together and did Azaria Lifestyle. And so at that point in 2017, we decided to make it like a whole lifestyle brand. And so we talked about everything from faith, fashion, work. We talked about beauty. We talked about relationships. I think it was just supposed to be a blog about everything. And I think if you know anything about blogging, you will realize that, when you try to talk to everybody, you end up talking to no one. And so we had a really hard time staying focused for many reasons. We didn't even live in the same place. It was just hilarious, just thinking that it would work. But, we persevered and we worked hard for about a year and a half. And so really in that time, I really worked hard to just refine the brand and define kind of what I wanted it to look like. So for all intents and purposes, we were actually doing decent as bloggers. We had got some brand sponsorships, we had done some collaborations with other bloggers, and we were getting good engagement on our blog. It was growing and it was doing well. But I think what we lacked was really consistency and a clear picture of what we wanted our brand to look like. And so when I got pregnant and when my son was born, we took another break because, life happens, and we were not able to be as consistent as we would have liked to be. So my sister decided to not be a part of the brand anymore, and so it was my thing to do my way. And so I had to make the decision of okay, now I'm restarting it again in 2020. What do I want Azaria Lifestyle to look like? What do I want it to stand for? Ultimately, at the end of the day, I decided to let go of azarialifestyle.com because I wanted to move my brand in a slightly different direction. I think that I could have continued with azarialifestyle.com. The one challenge that I think I faced was the fact that the name was a little bit ambiguous. Now, I mentioned before the history behind the name and why I love the name so much. But to be honest, I found that we had to keep reminding people of what Azaria meant. And even though we would remind people and they'd be like, oh, that's so cool, that's beautiful. It got annoying, right? Having to remind people that, oh, sorry, my name is not Azaria. It's actually the name of my brand. So one tip that I would give anyone who is just starting out with their blog is that your blog name should be descriptive or should somehow embody what your blog is going to be about. So if you are making a blog about beauty, right, it makes sense to have beauty or makeup or glam or something related to beauty as part of your name. It wouldn't make sense to have kitchen or something else related to another topic as part of your name, right? Because it would cause confusion. So try to make your name unique, but also make it memorable and easy for people to link what your name is to what your brand or your blog is going to be about. So that's just one free tip that I would give, which is obviously something that we had not thought about when we first started. And so at the start of this year, I decided that I wanted to kind of revive my brand. So I took a lot of time to really invest in myself and really start learning about the ins and outs of blogging and what it takes to have a successful blog. And that was kind of in January, February of 2020 because I knew that I wanted to come back to my blog. In fact, I actually went back to the blog and I was posting consistently. But the nagging thought at the back of my mind was just the name Azaria. Like I mentioned, I love the name Azaria, but it's just so ambiguous. And so I decided to rebrand. And I decided to rebrand using my own name. And I figured that if I use my own name, whenever I decided to pivot, whatever I decided to do, my name is consistent, right? And so I noticed that a lot of other bloggers and a lot of other entrepreneurs were starting to use their own name for their business. And so I just kind of hopped on that trend and said, you know what, I'll just use my name because I know that whatever I do, my name is going to be the same. So when I decided to rebrand, I said, hey, why not just give my whole blog a makeover? And so I went through the whole process of redesigning my blog, buying a new domain, and then moving all of the information over to the new blog. And I did it all myself. I did it all myself. I'm not like a professional web designer or anything like that, but I think I did it myself because I really wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. And I definitely did it, but it definitely took me way longer than I needed to. And so I think if you watch my previous videos, I've been talking about relaunching my blog since I started this YouTube channel. And it's finally relaunched. So my blog is live, www.amarauche.co. So I'll be sharing some personal stories on life and motherhood because it's my blog and I'm going to post what I want to post. Then on top of that, I will primarily be sharing content tips. I will be sharing things that I've learned throughout the years to help you create better and more engaging content for your business. So www.amarauche.co is my new website. And on this website, I'm also sharing my services. So if you would like to go and check out what I do, you can find that on my website. So yeah, that was a brief / long explanation about why I decided to rebrand. So if you guys have any questions about planning a rebrand, how to go about it, what to do, how to move content from one platform to another, or just anything to do with the rebranding, leave a comment and let me know, and I can definitely make a video about it. Because I spent the past 2-3 months rebranding this blog. So if you have any questions, any concerns, anything like that, definitely leave a comment and I'll be sure to answer your questions. So I promised you that I'd be sharing 5 mistakes that I made as a new blogger and then giving you some tips on what you can do instead. And so these are mistakes that I made in the beginning, early days of my blogging journey. As you have just heard, my blogging journey is quite extensive with a lot of breaks in between, but still quite extensive. But hopefully, this highlights, some mistakes that you might be making, and, you can figure out how to deal with those mistakes. So the first mistakes I made when I first started out blogging was focusing on vanity metrics. So now, whenever I first got serious about blogging, which I think was around 2017, I was focused on vanity metrics. I was constantly looking at the number of page views we were getting, the number of likes and comments we were getting on our posts, the number of followers we were getting on Instagram and social media. The problem with that is, although those things are measures of success, they don't actually give you anything, right? The number of page views on your blog does not equate to the amount of money that you make. And so I was looking at all the wrong numbers. And so even when we were getting a lot of page views and a lot of momentum in our engagement and things like that, we would feel good about it, but really we weren't making the numbers that actually mattered. So yes, set goals, but really understand the numbers that are important. So if you're trying to make money blogging, the numbers that are important are the numbers behind the dollar signs, right? So those are the numbers that you really should be looking for, not the number of page views, not the number of followers that you have. So really focus on the numbers that are important. The second mistake that I definitely made with my previous blog was trying to be everything for everybody. Now, I mentioned that I had a lifestyle blog. I had a lifestyle blog where I talked about anything and everything, right? There was really no clear focus. I didn't have a niche, right? I would say maybe my niche was lifestyle, but lifestyle is one of those niches that really just means you talk about everything. You would think that if you could talk about everything, you would have more to talk about, and that is kind of the logic. But really, when you can talk about anything, you have a hard time narrowing down and deciding what you want to actually make posts about or what you actually want to talk about. And so that's definitely what I found to be more challenging, because I would have my editorial calendar filled with lots and lots and lots of ideas. But when it came time to actually sitting down to write a post, I would find it really, really hard to pick what to write. Or I would start writing something and then realize, I'm not even interested in this, and then go on to something else. So it was really hard to stay consistent when we were talking about everything. And so another problem with talking about everything is that you never really get known for anything. And so for me, I had a really hard time trying to brand my blog because it was just a blog about everything. So one person may relate to my blog and really relate to the faith-based content that I was putting out. And then another person would relate to my blog and be like, oh my gosh, you guys have really cool clothes. You guys are fashion bloggers. But I never really identified as a fashion blogger. I never identified as a faith or spiritual blogger. And it was just this disconnect, right, between what I thought my blog was and what other people saw my blog to be. And so I had a really hard time staying consistent and really standing out, I think, because I didn't necessarily have a niche. And so if I was to advise you or advise my former self, I would definitely give you the advice to niche down. And I know niching down is kind of an unpopular topic because people, let's face it, you just want to talk about everything. And let me be real, I want to talk about everything. I don't want anyone to tell me that I can't talk about whatever it is I want to talk about when it's my blog. And even with this blog now, there's definitely a section that I have for personal, because if I want to talk about something, I want to talk about it. But I think it's a good idea to have a niche, something that you will be known for, because that ultimately is how you are going to stand out in such a saturated market. Because these days, everybody has a blog, right? So if you want to stand out, you really have to do something to set yourself apart. That way you are able to build an audience around your specific niche, and then once you have your core audience, then you can start to branch out and talk about other things. And so mistake number 2 is definitely trying to be everything for everybody. Mistake number 3 for me was not sharing my content. It kind of doesn't make sense that you would sit there, do all this work, write a blog post, and not share it with anybody. But for the first, I would say a good year after I started my blog, I really didn't share it with anyone. I would make my blog posts and just kind of have it there, hoping that people would somehow find it. And so that is definitely one of the mistakes that I've made. And I know that if I'm making this mistake, there's someone else out there who is making the same mistake. Now, if you are creating a blog, chances are you have a desire to help people in some way or another, right? But you're not going to be able to help people if you're not sharing it, right? So even if you share it on social media and no one comments or no one likes it, that's fine. As long as you've done your part to share, because you never know who is going to see that post. Because I think when you're starting out a new blog and when it's still small and when you're still growing, it feels a little bit embarrassing, I think, to put yourself out there like that. If you share it with your friends, they see that no one is looking at your blog, it might be embarrassing. But if you are really trying to make an impact, no one's going to find your post, no one's going to be impacted by your blog if you don't share it with anyone. And so you just have to get out of your own head and just start sharing your content. And so for me, mistake number 4 was thinking that my blog was my business. A blog is a platform that can be linked to your business and that can be leveraged to help you make money in your business. But the blog itself, the actual blog, is not your business. And so I think when you have that mindset that your blog is your business, you might make a post and think, oh, I'm going to make money because I have this post out there. A blog is just a tool that you're using for your business. It's not your actual business. So you need to understand that and then leverage it like the tool that it is to help you grow your business. And so understanding that and just having that mindset has really changed a lot for me. So if you're sitting there thinking because you're putting out content on a blog that you have a business, that's not the case. Your blog is just a tool that helps you make money in your business. The 5th mistake is thinking you can do everything on your own. Now, I totally get it. When you have a blog and it's a small blog, you're just starting out, you are the content writer, you're the graphic designer, you're the strategist, you're the CEO, the makeup artist, the stylist, everything, you do it all yourself. But it's important to know when you cannot do it yourself. If you want to be consistent and if you want to put out good quality work, you have to resign to the idea that at some point you have to outsource some of that work to somebody else. And it's hard to let go of. It's very hard to let go of. But you have to be okay with outsourcing the things that either you're not good at or you just don't have time for. When you try to do everything yourself, you burn yourself out. And so I've talked about this in another video because it's definitely something that I'm continuously having to work on. But it's that idea of letting go of certain parts of your business, certain parts of your blog, so that you can be more effective in the parts where you are needed. And so the other mistake that I made, which is mistake 5B, was I was trying to do everything on my own, so I was refusing to invest in myself. I was refusing to invest in my education or invest in figuring things out because I felt like I could figure everything out on my own. And so this year I made a huge move by investing in myself. And I invested in myself not just once, not just twice, but multiple times over. And I've been taking so many courses, I've been learning so much and growing so much and seeing the impact of that learning in my life many times over. And so it's a mistake to think that you can do everything on your own. Like, sure, you can do things on your own. You can find, the way the internet is set up, you can find so much on Google these days that you don't need to even pay for a course. You don't need to get a coach. When you're spending all your time trying to figure everything out on your own, you're wasting time. And in this game, time is your most valuable asset. So you can't afford to be wasting time, you know. That time that you wasted trying to Google everything and figure everything out on your own is time that you could have spent, you know, growing your blog and doing things better. So instead of trying to do everything on your own, don't be afraid to invest in a coach, in a course, or ask for help. So if you have a blog, but you've been struggling with blogging and content creation, or you've been thinking about starting a blog and you just don't know where to get started, I'm actually offering one-on-one coaching sessions to guide you through this. So I walk you through everything that you need to know regarding starting a blog and creating consistently on that blog. So then I can also coach you on how to monetize your blog and make the most out of it. And so this is definitely a very good option for people who are just kind of lost in the whole blogging world and just need, I guess, that extra help and guidance, because I definitely will give you my feedback and kind of walk with you and make sure that everything is going okay throughout the process. And so yeah, that was my vlogging story and the 5 mistakes that I've made as a blogger. So if you found this video helpful at all, please hit the like button and hit the notification bell so you get notified when I post new videos. This is the first in a new series on this channel where I'm going to be talking about blogging and content creation. So make sure to hit that notification bell so you get notified when I post a new video next week.